There are seasons when walking with God, it just doesn't feel close. Not painful, not dramatic, just quiet. We still pray, we still choose to do the right thing, and we still return to God. But there's no emotional confirmation that it's working. This morning was like that for me. Nothing was wrong, nothing was especially heavy. But there was no sense of closeness either. Just steadiness. And in quieter seasons, especially if you've been going through struggles, that can start to feel a little unsettling. We often assume that closeness with God should feel reassuring, that obedience should feel rewarded. But Scripture doesn't frame faith that way. In Micah, we're told what God requires: to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That is not a description of emotional closeness. It is a description of posture. Walking humbly doesn't mean always feeling near. It means choosing to remain oriented toward God even when there's no internal affirmation. Later in the day I noticed something. I was doing something ordinary. There was nothing spiritual about it. And I caught myself choosing restraint instead of reaction. Now, there was no prayer beforehand and there was no feeling about it afterwards. It was just obedience. And it struck me how much of faith actually looks like that. Our quiet choices, our unseen obedience, our faithfulness without feedback. Jesus never promised constant reassurance. He promised presence. And presence doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes God is most present when faith is no longer being fueled by our feelings, but rather by our trust. So if God feels quiet right now, it does not mean that He's distant. It may mean that He's allowing you to walk without leaning on emotion. Now that kind of faith doesn't feel dramatic, but I'll tell you what, it grows strong. So if you're not feeling really close to God right now in this moment, just once today, during any ordinary moment, just pause briefly and say, God, I am still walking with you. No feeling required. Just your presence. Now, if this kind of steady, lived faith resonates with you, faith that is practiced quietly, without pressure, without performance, I want you to know that that's the kind of space that we're building here. And anchoring partners help make room for this work to continue, offering steady encouragement to people who are still walking with God, even when it feels quiet. There's no urgency and there's absolutely no expectation. It's just an open invitation to walk with us together. Now, before we close, I want you to hold on to this, okay? God does not measure faith by how close it feels. He measures our faith by whether we remain. So if you're still choosing obedience, you're still choosing humility, you're still choosing to walk, even quietly, you are not behind. You are not disconnected. You are practicing a faith that doesn't depend on feeling to survive. If you're still walking with God, He is still walking with you. God bless you, and have a blessed day.